want a Chippy Tea. Chippy Tea, Chippy Tea. I want a Chippy Tea. Oh, you keep giving me posh nosh, you don't agree with me. I don't want lobster thermidor with raspberry Kool-Aid. It's Friday night, I'm within me rights. I want a Chippy Tea.
Okay, so here we go. Let's get ready for episode 50 of the Chippy Tea podcast. What the hell's the Chippy Tea podcast, I hear you ask? I don't, but I'm going to explain it anyway. It is a weekly or regular video call between me, Tony P, and
Danny D from the Pursuit Print Co.
where we catch up on what the hell we've been doing that week, where we've been, what we've been doing. I mean, Danny doesn't go very far, to be fair, but he's joined by his audience of seagulls. Stephen's behind you, I can hear him.
Bloody background.
Does he wait? He must wait. He's going to have to get royalties soon. So we have a weekly chat where we catch up with what we've been doing. It's loosely based around screen print because we are both printers. I'm a print consultant and Danny's a real printer, not like me. I'm one of those that, thinks they know it all after 2 weeks.
Not one of those chuffing experts.
One of those experts, that's a different topic. We won't go down that road. So we have a weekly catch-up. We decided to do this exactly 1 calendar year ago. I think I was drunk because I can't imagine how other I would have agreed to it. Neither of us had any podcast experience. We swore we'd never do video. We had no idea how microphones work or anything like that. So 1 year on, here we are.
Done, if we're honest.
Bit of a Chippy Tea anniversary, and we still ain't got a clue about this technology. I've got all sorts of wires hanging around me, and none of them bleeding work. You have the opportunity to catch up and join in with us and share your experiences as well. We'd love to hear the comments. I'm sure Danny's got some comments, and he's mentioned something to me earlier.
I've got a show and tell.
And a show and tell as well. Okay. So with that bombshell, welcome to Chippy Tea Podcast, and we'll throw it straight over to Mr. Donald and ask you, what has that been doing this week, silly lad?
I've been doing all sorts, haven't I? Just rattling through, chuffing mountains of prints, which is not a bad thing.
You got rid of your shitty print, didn't you? Your 500
I got rid of it.
And,
the hard ones out of the way.
Print flash
This
print.
week's been a little bit more varied, a little bit more multicolour, smaller orders, 50s, 20s. I had a 150 on. Today I've got a 30 shirt order on press. I've done the first side, which will be my show and tell. So the front is 3 colours, Aquaflex white, plastisol. And then the back will be Aquaflex white, plastisol. 4 colours. But anyway, I can only really show you front because I've got to go finish the backs after this. But anyway, this is a nice little tie-dye t-shirt.
What my gigs on? Oh, tie-dye.
Mitch.
Do you have to put a blocker in, or is Aquaflex all right with tie-dye?
Aquaflex, do you know what? It was the first thing that came to mind. So what I would have done, really, what I thought about doing, come down a little, is so the black. The black is just an outline. It just keys it all in. But what I thought was I could use a solid base, black, dye block, and then Aquaflex white on top, with the pink as the last colour. That was my plan, to be honest. And I just sort of forgot.
Yeah.
And then I got on to press today, and I was like, shit, I'm going to do it this way. But what I've actually done is I've just done Aquaflex white as a base, print flash print, plastisol pink, plastisol black to key it all in.
Okay.
For the front.
So this throws up a debate now, and it's one that I've had this week from 2 friends of the show. One is Ewart, and one is Paul Hodge from Workwear.
Cool.
And the one from Newcastle, very similar print to what you've got, but he tried to do that. Is it 806, that bright pink?
Oh, it is actually, yeah. Bang on. 806.
It's 806, yeah. Yeah, it's 806. It's a fluorescent colour. It's really hard to mix.
It actually is, yeah.
It is really difficult to mix because it's a fluorescent, and anything you put in there to change the shade is an opaque. So we want the light to be bouncing back off it, and if we put an opaque ink in there, the light's been blocked, so it looks duller or chalkier.
Yeah.
Now you've made the decision to put Aquaflex down and then Plastisol on top.
Yep.
Well, Paul went with discharge fluorescent.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Straight direct discharge. There were 6 colours in the job. It looked like a nightmare. And he asked me for some advice because the fluorescent, as it does, it just dries up like a bitch and it goes chalky and sticky.
So let me
because of the fluorescent pigment and because of the discharge base and the activator and the heat, it just is a bitch to print on an auto.
So he discharged the whole job. He didn't print discharge
Straight
as a
discharge,
base.
no underbase. So straight discharge fluorescent 806 onto the garment.
Right. I thought what you were saying was he made a fluorescent pink discharge base and then put Plastisol on top. Now that would have been bright.
No. All discharge, all colours discharge. And he rang me up and said, look, they're struggling like mad with this pink. Have I got any tips? I'm like, yeah, don't fucking use it.
Yeah.
But I want this bright pink. I need this bright soft print. That's right. Well, just use a discharge underbase and drop Plastisol on top. Thin it down. No, it's honestly, it's going to be soft as. As the customer requested discharge. No. Right. Well, he says, I just thought it a bit brightest. It is. It's lovely fluorescent. Some of the fluorescents are lovely. But they're a bitch to print because they're so stodgy, which is a fantastic word to describe how the ink reacts. It just goes stiff and chalky and nasty to print. So just advised to throw a little underbase under there and drop that Plastisol on top of that colour. Keep everything else the same. We had space to do it, and he just texted me and said, you're a legend. I said, yeah, so everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think that's a good idea.
Sorry, I hijacked your show and tell then, sorry. But it's just that fluorescent pink just hit me because I knew it were 806 and I knew it were a problem. And I knew you've solved it exactly the same way, putting a water-based base down for softness and then that bright Plastisol on top for ease and brightness. Yeah,
because when you mix 806, it's a very translucent ink. There's very little opacity to it because you're not putting any white in it, really. You're just using the dye, basically. So if you're printing it on a straight Plastisol white underbase, it's a bitch because unless you've got an absolutely opaque white, you're going to see that texture showing through.
You almost need 2 bases underneath it, don't you?
Yeah. Which you don't really want to be doing with Plastisol. But with Aquaflex, you can get away with that because it'll still...
And it's still soft, yeah.
Top
tip. Great show and tell. Nice bright fluorescent colour, soft feel. Awesome done.
Can only go downhill for me, can't
it? And the other point I was going to... Sorry, I hijacked your show and tell. Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
What's next?
The other point was, where do you put the black on that design? Hold your design up again.
Oh, this was just an outline.
Yeah, but where do you put it?
Last.
So this is the debate. It actually works better first. What a time for my camera to freeze. You just went...
Don't worry, I didn't say that. I was just pondering.
Putting the black early on in the colour order when it's like that can help it keep really clean and help you with registration. Now, it's one of those completely design dependent. Ask me for rules I can't give you, but you look at it and go, you know what, I can put that in. On a manual, okay, probably not make much difference because you're going to flash every colour. On an auto, when we're doing wet on wet, I want to touch those wet colours as little as possible. So if I can go white base, flash, black, the black's not sitting on the base white, don't forget, because it's been knocked out. No. We never underbase under black. Anybody who's still underbase and under black needs to leave now.
Yeah, that's a big no-no.
You still here? Leave. So,
Just give us a subscribe before you go, and then get your sent off.
and a like. Dopamine hit. Then it's one of those colours out of the way. So out of a 4-colour job, now one of them is getting printed first, and now only 2 are getting printed off wet because one's last. And so that means I can protect those 2 quite easily with my pressures and my angles. So deciding where to put the black, and there's 2 schools of thought. After the base white has been flashed, great, love it, superb. Before the base white, and wet.
Because wouldn't it be handy to have it flashed as well? Can you print black and then base white then flash, or can you not? Or do you not get away with that? Do you reckon?
Yes, that's what I mean.
Right. Yeah.
Black, then black still wet, base white on top, and then flash, and then roller, and then all your other colours. And that's a preferred option. If you look at some of the process videos that you see down in Florida at merch shops, you'll see them do that a lot. They've nailed it. Getting the right mesh count is perfect, and it does tend to clean things up, so we're not sitting 2 things on top of each other. So we had a job yesterday, and it wasn't black, but it was a dark key line, and we printed it first in the colour order, so base white, roller, base white flash roller, and then this dark outline. And the guys here, Caleb's going, shouldn't that be last, keying everything together and hiding any misregistration? No, number one, why have we got misregistration? We shouldn't have misregistration. We spent a fucking fortune on the best machine in the world.
Yeah.
You've got all the pre-reg system. You've picked the right mesh counts. Why have we got misregistration? Attack that problem first. Yeah. And then after that, we just sort of put the colours on top, and the edges of the colours, because they sat on top of the key line, crisp and clean.
I think it's a manual habit, because you use that key line to tidy up your registration.
I know, yeah.
So I guess that's what it comes down to.
The bleed is all about how much choke you put on, you know. So I want to do butt registration. I don't want any choke. I don't want any bleed. I don't want any spread. I want butt registration. And if there's a problem with registration, I'll figure that one out. Like on this where we are today, one pallet was just out of registration every time, and always one way. I'm like, can it be? And it was just maybe 0.5 mil too low. Yeah. But once we level it off, all of a sudden now we've got perfect registration again. So we don't need to have that spread, which means we can change the colour order, which means we get better prints. So all these little marginal gains.
Yeah. Good old marginal gains. So the actual pallet was low.
It was just 0.5 mil too low. That's all it was.
Right.
When they set these machines up, they use a digital guide, a digital pressure gauge, and they spin the pallets round, and it should hit at exactly the same height every time.
Right.
And this one was just 0.5 mil too low, and it was just on tight reg stuff, and it was the base. It was always the base. So it always looked shit.
Typical.
Yeah. So hopefully we've got rid of that.
If you get that base off, every colour's just going to start that snowball, aren't you?
Well, we actually skipped the pallet number 10 every time. So, believe it or not, on a 12 colour machine, that's 8% production loss straight away.
Oh, God.
You think about it like that, over a day, 8% production over 4,000. You know, it's 360 prints. And if you're getting a £5 a print, all of a sudden you've lost 1,500 quid. It soon adds up, these little things.
It does. So, how have you found your visit to Canada? Because today will be your last day, won't it?
Last working day. I'll be in Monday, but I'll be travelling over to airport and stuff and getting ready to go. So I've hit peak holiday season. I don't know whether this is good or bad, because it's like an American travelling in England on bank holidays. So it's not a holiday that they celebrate. They weren't working anyway, so it's just like a normal day. But we say, Spring Bank today. What the fuck, Spring Bank? Spring Bank holiday. What's it for? Nobody knows. Just don't go to work. It doesn't matter. Don't matter what it's for. Stop asking questions and just don't go to work. Go to pub. Beer garden, sunshine. So the first, which is tomorrow, is Canada Day, National Canada Day. So that's a big public holiday here, and it's a Saturday, and there's floats on street and parties, and people hiding from bears and things like that. So, so that's going to be a crazy day here. And then I travel to America on 4th of July, which is their Independence Day, their holiday day. And because it's a Tuesday, a lot of American companies are going, well, I'm not fucking coming in Monday. Like when we have bank holiday, Good Friday and Easter Monday.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, if you work Friday, just have Monday, Tuesday off.
Yeah.
So a lot of companies are having Monday, Tuesday off. So I'll be travelling on that day. And I don't know whether it'll be quiet because everybody's actually having a party, or whether it'll be crazy with people trying to get
parties
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
depends what time you go, I suppose, doesn't it?
Early morning, so I should be all right.
Yeah, you might just beat it.
Mm.
And where is it you actually heading?
So I'll be going then to Minneapolis, finishing the week off there. And that'll be seeing some returning customers, some old customers that I've been to before. So two return visits. And then from there, off on my summer dance card, the summer road trip, which will be first stop New York, and then ending up in Florida.
Florida to see our mate Bryce.
We're seeing our mate Bryce. I'll keep you informed of where I am. It can change, so you just never know. But we've had a good 2 weeks with Caleb and Eve, the superb people. The place is stunning. I'm going to find it hard to leave, Danny, I've got to admit.
I know.
It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
If I had shitloads of money, I wouldn't leave.
I won't come back.
But I haven't got shitloads of money.
Yeah, dear. You have to take your bird, dear.
We were talking about money. The other thing is, it's like -20 in winter, so I'm not coming when it's cold.
I think that'd be cool. Nice and snowy mountains. It'd be lovely.
It looks pretty until you've got to go to the shops.
It's an adventure, isn't it?
Yeah, we were talking about money, and I think the perception over here and America as well is that to raise a big lump of money, let's say $400,000, is normal. To start a business and a professional business on a small scale.
Wow, yeah.
But I'm looking at your eyes, the same as mine. If somebody said to me, right, son, just go borrow $400,000, I'm like, well, number one, nobody's going to lend me it. But number two, I don't want to tie myself to that much money.
It's a lot, isn't it?
The numbers are so much bigger over here. What we would class as a $40,000 loan to start a business, they go for $400,000. It's like 10 times different, and it's eye opening. It really is.
It's interesting, isn't it? We've been over this before. It's just
I know, yeah. It triggered from our discussions before of what we can and can't do, and it sort of hit home a little bit. This is why in England we're just lacking a little bit. We're sort of like, no, you're not allowed. No, you're not allowed. No, you're not allowed.
Do you think that results in more opportunity and more entrepreneurial people and more startup businesses and just generally more success?
Absolutely.
An easier place to build a business?
I think that's why America is the land of opportunity, because everybody wants you to succeed. Nobody's looking at you going, oh, you can't afford that. Oh, no, you can't have that. Whereas in England, it seems like everybody's against you, saying, go to bank manager, and bank manager say, well, no, not unless you sign your firstborn and give me your kidney.
It's a bit of a deal. Hey, you plod on, don't you, Tony, lad? You plod on.
It's an odd one over here, but it's still been good. We've had a good, we've had a good couple of weeks here. We've gone through everything from start to finish. Bear in mind, they've been printing for 3 years.
So just the step by step through each step of the process.
From artwork to Spider, which is a Delphi over here. It's a wax printer. Artwork, templates, bleed, spread. We did a fork of the process job yesterday. So CMYK.
I saw that. And you were using white at the end.
Yeah, squash white, a crush white. And believe it or not, I tried the white first because I thought it would work better highlighting the yellow, making the yellow brighter.
Like a bit more.
Didn't
more
flash
poppy.
it because I wanted it to blend. I don't want to see the dots. I want to see a good squash of colour. So it wasn't an underbase, but it was a first down white that wasn't flashed. So think of it like a brightness map of the design. So where all the bright parts of the yellow and the green were, there was a toned base underneath those to pick them up. And then when we dull them down, we let it fall onto the garment. Sep's done by John, expertly again, at Custom Colour, who needs to come on this show. We can't keep giving him free advertisement. He's got to get his face on it. I don't think I've ever seen his face. I don't know what it looks like.
Nobody knows. My mystery.
Like Elephant Man.
Fucking hell, make a right trio, won't it? Us three. Me and Elephant Man.
So yeah, we've gone through some 8-colour jobs. We've gone through some single colour jobs. I've been loading to show them the machine will go fast if you're not frightened of it. And there's a lot of confidence involved. If ever you see someone who's had a DTG machine and you put them on a screen print machine, watch them load a shirt and count how many times they touch it.
Right.
So when they load a shirt, I bet they touch it more than 10 times. So they'll load it, they'll move it, they'll shift it, they'll move it again, they'll get that out there, they'll pull that down, then they'll step back and hold it. And then when you've got 3.5 seconds to load, you can't touch it that many times. Yeah. I'm 3 times. I pick it up, put it on, drop it down, done. Pick it up, put it on, drop it down, done. And being efficient with your movements, moving your shirts closer to your machine. They were walking around the dryer to put shirts on in front of the dryer. And that was like 3 steps. Well, 3,000 pieces a day, an extra 3 steps. I mean, Apple Watch is going to love you, but it's not efficient and it takes time and you end up rushing. So we nailed some of those, just moving things ergonomically around to make sure everything's in the right place at the right time where we can just as little movement as possible. So efficient movement.
Yeah, it's a marginal gain, though, isn't it?
It's just a tiny little thing. It's not important. It doesn't affect the quality of the print. It doesn't affect anything. But it means you're working a little bit faster and easier. No stress.
Yeah.
We had a lot of problem with sticking. So getting too hot instead of getting too cold.
Yeah.
It's a bingo card, when I were a lad, going off on a tangent. Shop. So we had a lot of problem with that, and we fixed it with a box fan, face down,
to cool it down a bit
after the flash. Yeah, because it looks and sounds exactly the same as if it's not dry enough when it's too dry, too hot.
It's like a slightly.
We've got this magic window. Don't forget where plastisol it gels at 90. And then it's dry until it gets to 120, and then at 120 it goes wet again. And from 120 to 160, it can still feel wet, and it's picking up on the underside of the screen. And the first thing you do is, well, it's not dry. Turn the heaters up, and then it sticks again, and then you're just on the spiral of doom. And so we fixed that with a little bit of cheating with a fan. We covered cheating. It's not cheating if it solves the problem. And as long as you understand why you're doing it. Okay, so why am I sticking this fan in? Why am I doing this? It's because that mesh count's a bit low. So there's too much ink, so I'm having to use too much heat. So therefore I've got to use a fan to cool it down. And it's this, right, okay, well, do I remake it? Or for 50 shirts, do I stick a fan in? And as long as you understand why you're being creative with your solution, then it's not cheating.
If you learn from it, if there's something wrong in the process, if there's something wrong in the process, if you learn, if you say, okay, well, I should really remake the screen, but I need to get this job out the door, stick a fan in it, But as long as you don't use that as a crutch, and
that's not the default.
Always,
as long as that's not the default,
because quite often you can, especially if you're sort of self-taught, you might use a crutch to solve a problem, but then it becomes the standard because you don't know what the problem was in the first place, And
I like that. That's very concise. I like that. Use a crutch and it becomes a standard. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it does, doesn't it? Because you get, and I guess this is where, you know what, one.
Nope. I've got pauses, so you keep going.
Throw me off anyway now. Yeah, I guess it's...
Well, this all right then. This brings me on to the only show and tell I can do, which is a little bit of a toolkit that I carry around with me if I go
that's
to
cool.
a place. The toolkit is
Temp gun?
temp gun, not for the fucking dryer. Get a proper donut probe. This is not for the dryer.
What's that for then? Flashing?
Okay. In fact, this is for pallets. How hot are your pallets?
Ah, right.
So you can put your hand on your pallet and you go, right, that's about hot enough.
Oh, that's hot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it for a long time, so you know what hot enough feels like. What I want to do is I want to give hot enough a number.
Yeah.
And I want to give cold enough a number. That way then, if I get someone new on press and they're not coming to me and saying, are these warm enough? Have these gone too cold? I give them a number, right? We want to be between 60 and 80. So measure them. Are they between 60 and 80? And what I'll do is, right, put your hand on there. Give me a number. What do you think it is? I did this to Eve. I said, so put your hand on there. Give me a number. What do you think it is? She went, 2. What the fuck?
What, 2 out of 10? I don't know.
It was 2 out of 10. It was 2 out of 10, yeah. I said, no, is it 50? Yeah, that's about 2 out of 10. Yeah, I suppose so. So giving a variable a number, that's why I carry that around. It's not for the dryer. Donut probes are for dryer. We don't care how hot the air is in the dryer. We don't care how hot the shirt is as it comes out. We don't care how hot the belt is. We don't care how hot it is inside the chamber. We only care about the ink film temperature. And we can only measure the ink film temperature at least 2 meters into a dryer, or 3 inches on your dryer. And we do that. We do that with a donut probe sat in the wet ink. It's the only thing we can trust.
But you're not going to do that.
We can't trust the air.
You're going to sit it on top. You never.
You sit it in the wet ink. It needs to cure around those crosses.
Wow. But then your probe fucked.
No, it's designed for that. At the end, you peel it out of the cured ink. It cures around it. That's the only way to know the ink film temperature is to put that in the ink film. And if you cure the ink film properly, it will go solid. And it will go solid with the 2 little crossed wires in it, and you just pull the wires out. That's how you know you've done it right.
I bet somebody's learned something there. Because I would assume the donut probe sits on top of your shirt above the ink. I would never have thought to have squashed it.
We don't care about the temperature above the ink. We don't care about the temperature on the side of the ink. We care about the temperature of the ink.
Right, well, I want you to comment below if you have learned something there. Because I don't want to be the only one.
Can I comment? So that's my one part of my toolkit. My other toolkit.
Yep. Screen tension meter.
Tension meter, so my little digital tension meter.
I'm going to have to get one of them.
This has been invaluable for finding out where the problem is. You know, we've got a problem on press, and we think it's putting fucking fires out. We've got a problem on press, and we think it's us. We think it's our choice of squeegees, or our choice of blade, or our choice of angle and speed and pressure. And actually, we've picked a screen up that was only 14 newtons.
It's a bit baggy. Yeah.
It's like as a back of knackers, yeah. So
yeah. It's
and without knowing that and watching that variable, we've got no idea why it's failing. We know it's failing, but we think it's us. We didn't sacrifice to the squeegee gods this morning when we got up, and we think it's us. So then, donut probe. I'm gathering this kit together that I have, and donut probe is next on my list because there's too many places don't have one. And then there's the thickness gauge.
Is that a bit unnecessary?
Yes, but if you're automating the system, so if you've got an auto coater, finding out if it's set right.
I'm going to say
and having
a
real number.
Yeah.
Is it necessary on manual? No, on manual, what I do is I use my fingernail.
You feel it.
I know that's a bit rough, but I want on my low mesh counts, I want that lip, that ridge, and I can tell if it's there or not. But that's not really good enough, knowing if it's there or not. I want to know it's there, but it's only a 6. then that doesn't
Right.
work. But at 8, it works. So I need to go back and find that variable and then try and attack it. It gets more difficult with manual coating because we're trying to coat like a machine when we're coating. And the best thing to coat like a machine is a fucking machine. It never gets tired. It never smokes weed. It never breaks up with its bird and gets pissed on Jack Daniels. It just comes and coats every day. So
I really want to get an auto coater for the purpose of being able to control that thickness. Because there are certain jobs where I want to use a thicker base. I want to put more Aquaflex down, a thicker layer of Aquaflex, to get a more opaque white as my starting point, which is very hard to do with manual coating.
There's a little bit of a codicil, a little bit of a caveat with water-based printer with Aquaflex. If we make that stencil thicker, we encourage drying in around the thickness of that stencil. So on water-based, we can actually end up losing base and choking.
Adjust your microphone.
If it's too thick, we do.
Adjust your mic. It's crackling. Put it up a bit. That might be better. It was like crackling. So you're adding all the Rice Krispies in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
No, that didn't help, funnily enough. Maybe just sit like this. Bit further away. Yeah, that sounds alright, actually.
Not bad?
Yeah, it does, actually. Yeah, that's fixed it.
Does it stop crackling?
It has. Perfect. So, controlling the thickness of stencils. We were saying?
If the thickness is too thick, what happens is when you print, you don't clear all the mesh. You clear all the centre of the mesh, but you leave a very little tiny bit around the outside, around the edge of the stencil, and that's encouraged to dry in over the next 2 or 3 prints.
Do you know what a really good visual example of this is? To exaggerate that, what you've just described, to exaggerate it, printing high build. So when you pull a high build screen, quite often in the edges, if you've not got that stroke right, you'll see it leaves a lot of ink at edges, and it's a pain in the ass. That's like a part of the skill of learning to print high build on a manual anyway.
Yeah,
but that's
it's exactly that, and that happens with the Aquaflex and the water-based inks. So although I am a big supporter of a good thick stencil, and the way I describe it is if you push ink through a piece of paper with holes cut in it and look at the thickness of the ink that's left, it's the thickness of the paper. And if you push ink through a cardboard stencil that's been cut out with holes in it, you lift the cardboard up, what's left behind is the height of the cardboard.
Yeah.
So we want that on the plastisol, great, because the plastisol comes out of the mesh nice and easy. But on water-based, if it just leaves, let's say it leaves 2% around the outside, that encourages it to dry in. So we've got to be really careful with it and use it selectively.
Is it Magna that recommend that you don't have a thick stencil? And
I haven't looked, but probably for that reason. That's probably why they recommend it.
I might be wrong, but I think they recommend no off contact as well.
I wouldn't do that. You need to
let the ink
fall out.
But I feel like I seem to remember with Aquaflex, they were saying you want very little, next to no off contact. I might be wrong about that. Because going back a few years, but that's just what I've heard.
I would always have a little bit of off contact. You need that screen to stretch down and then elastic back up.
To
it's
leave
behind
getting
the
that sheer,
transfer of ink.
Yeah. I sort of treat Aquaflex exactly the same as Plastisol. So same off contact, etc. Very little difference.
Yeah, I think that's a good approach. I think that's the best approach. When I want people to move to water-based, I tell them to leave the mixing system alone, leave the discharge alone, get yourself a tub of Aquaflex, or other brands are available. Yeah. I think Aquarius is the Wilflex one, Matsui is another eco one. And just use that first as your white flash white. Get used to it, get used to those printing techniques, treat it like Plastisol to start with, and then start fine-tuning it and backing it off and see how much you can back it off, and you'll be surprised how little pressure you need. You'll be surprised how bright you can get it when you sit it on the top. It's not like building layers of film anymore. We're actually colour in the garment now.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things. How easy it is to pull Aquaflex or high solid acrylic through a screen. It's one of the first things that hits you, and you learn to. You're not grinding that bleeding plastisol through all of a
I
sudden.
don't think you
Just
could
pulling
go
it
back
through,
to
innit?
plastisol now, could you?
Not white. I mean, I print plastisol colours, but I couldn't go back to
No.
plastisol white. Not a chance.
Yeah,
I
but
tried
white.
it. I tried it when I fell out because I
No.
couldn't afford it. So I went back to plastisol and I was like, nah, I changed my mind. You were right. You get what you pay for. So yeah, no, I couldn't go back to plastisol. Not a chance. I just couldn't do it. I mean, I think when I get the auto downstairs, I probably will venture and use a bit more water-based overall anyway. I don't know if I'll ever completely switch my current tactic because I really like the finish. I really
It
do
works,
like the
doesn't
finish.
it? It's working well for you, yeah.
Yeah, I like it. And it's a little bit, I can't say unique to me because I'm sure there's plenty of other people who do it, but like it feels like it's something that I do my own little way. And you can pick up one of my shirts compared to someone else's and you can tell I've done it, you know, in a way.
Yeah.
So
I've
quite
got
like it.
two of your shirts. I can tell. I like it. It's a nice soft feel. Nice. It's nice crisp clean print with a soft feel, which is what we all want.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's what I'm marking you.
some of the commercial stuff that we wear, that's the same, but they'll use 6 screens, and you're achieving it with 1. So hats off.
Right, I'm going to show you something from last episode. I say was it last episode? It might have been an episode before.
It's not another Shagberry Avoid, is it?
No. I wanted to open
Not
it
that I don't
first.
trust you at all.
Window. Where's it gone?
I thought this quality were really low. It's me. I ain't got my glasses on.
Good grief. Right, is this opened? There we go. So we got an email. I got an email from a listener. I don't know who it is. Fucking Auntie Moira. I'd love to know who sent it. It's really funny. So there's 2 questions in there as well.
Whoever it is has gone to the fucking trouble of
an
creating a Gmail account.
I'm creased at it. Whoever that is, I mean, it can only be Sarah, Alex, Flood. Who else is Irish?
I think it's the
Welsh.
Irish guy. Top of the morning to you from the Green Isle.
Well, that is.
It's
Welsh, isn't it?
It's Munster.
I've got it totally wrong. I said flipping Welsh.
It's porridge.
Oh, it could be porridge, couldn't it? Yeah, well, of course it is.
I think it's Patrick Porridge. Yeah,
I've proper dropped a ball there. I said all the Welsh. It's Irish, isn't it?
Green Isle. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, you went through them all, didn't you? AntiMoira@gmail.com. I'm fucking loving the fact that they've set up an email account for Auntie Moira.
I'm just slightly disgruntled.
I think she should be a guest. I think we should get her on.
Whoever it is.
I think she's coming on. Auntie Moira's coming on as a guest.
They'll have to dress up like that. I can't remember what it was called, but that comedian who that Irish bloke who used to dress up as an old lady. They'll have to do that. Unless it actually genuinely is my
This is
Auntie
Brown's
Moira.
Boys.
That was it, yeah. So that was right funny, so I really appreciated that email. Tickled me, did that. But
That's
also,
good,
he has
mate,
got some serious questions. So the first
Okay,
question
let's have a look
is,
at the serious question.
is it really worth using a triple durometer squeegee blade on an auto?
Yes.
I mean...
Yes. Just stop talking. Yes.
So what is the advantage to a triple durometer?
Absolutely, 100%. No discussion. Yes.
It adds an element of complication though, doesn't it?
No. Forget your single durometer blades and replace them all with triples. And then just go for your soft, medium and hard, but they're all triples.
All right. See, I like to do this anyway. I like to look at blades because I get so confused with all the numbers. I'm not a numbers person. So I just look at blades as soft, medium and hard. And if it's a triple durometer, soft, medium and hard, or if it's just straight standard durometers, soft, medium and hard, whatever.
You're right.
That's how I
So as we go up and we start at the squishy soft for water-based 55, that's a straight soft. Then you've got a soft durometer, so it's a soft and a half. Then, well, if we start with the 55, that's classed as an extra soft. So you've got extra soft and a half. Soft, which is a 65, soft and a half, which is a 65 triple blade.
Yeah.
Then you've got your medium, which is your straight 75, and then your medium and a half, your 75 triple. And then right at the end, you've got your 85, which is probably not worth getting a triple for because it's hard as fuck anyway. It's like it's been brought up in cast. It's that hard.
I'm taking that. So, I mean, what is the main advantage of a triple durometer? What are you getting extra over a standard durometer? It's adding
Awesome
a stiffness to it.
Yeah, it's a stiffener. So I describe the durometer or the triple as a stiffener. So let's go the numbers that you don't like. A red, white, red blade red is 65, the white is 90, and the other red is 65. Why are there two reds? So you can use a squeegee either way.
Yeah.
That's the only reason there's two reds is so that you can use either side of the blade. So what does the white do? The white stops the blade from bending, but the actual surface of the blade that's in contact with the ink and the screen is a 65 durometer. It's just that we're not allowing it to bend. Do you remember your shitty Ergo that had the lip at the back?
Yeah. That's that stiffener. Yeah.
Your Ergo squeegee that had a lip at the back.
Kind of the same type of thing.
To stiffen it. It's the same sort of thing. And if you look back on my Instagram story from Hanover, we found a rock version which had like metal fingers down one side of the blade.
Yeah, it did, like little sausage fingers.
So that was just purely to stop the blade bending. So I don't want it to bend, but I still want to use the softness or this durometer of the bit that's in contact with the screen and the ink. So for me, the triple durometer is just a new version of squeegee because the old version didn't give us enough control. So what would be the preferred durometer for the underbase? Well, the underbase, the most important thing about it is power. We want brightness, opacity. We want it to be white as white can be. So I need my 65 bit for there. But most underbases, I don't want to make them bigger than the top colour, and most of them have a trap line or or dots or tones or at least something that I want to keep the absolute detail.
Yeah.
So when I'm picking between power and detail, fuck it, I want both. So the 65 is giving me my power, but the 90 element, the stiffener in the middle, is keeping it nice and straight so that I don't lose any detail.
Yeah. And you're also so the softness of the red blade is putting down more ink, so you're getting more ink or base. But can you back off on pressure
from that? Yeah. And you can higher the mesh count.
Because you've got that stiffener.
So we can play about with all sorts. If I've got a high mesh count and a sticky white plastisol, that soft blade is going to bend before the plastisol is persuaded to get pushed through the holes.
Yeah.
So in order to stiffen it, I'm going to put my fingers on. Have you ever printed? You must have printed and put your fingers on the fucking blade to stop it bending because the plastisol's
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what we're doing. We're adding a stiffener in the middle of the blade. Why in the middle? Well, if we put it on the outside, it's a bitch to clean.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And we can't get no control. How big do we make it? So now we've got consistently everything in the middle of this, so it bends a certain amount. The way I tell people to check a squeegee is you put the squeegee in between your finger and thumb. You press down with this finger here.
Right.
So when you press down with that finger and you bend it over, this is very visual, you bend it over 2 points. So you're bending the squeegee over 2 points. I might ask you to go get a squeegee. Go get a squeegee.
Any particular geometer?
No, don't care. Get two different ones. So
can I demonstrate? How can I do this best on camera? Right.
So you're pressing down with your pointy finger, and you've got your thumb and your index finger behind them. So you're pressing down like that. And you see?
I don't know if I can get my angle to show you. But yeah.
Right. So now The force that is applied to that pointing finger to make that bend
Yeah.
is measured in grams. Okay, so it's going to take 75 grams of force to bend that squeegee. Now, if you get a softer one, it doesn't take as much force. So the grams of force required to bend that is less.
Interesting. So this
So
is
we'll
how we
apply a
measure what
number of how many grams of force do I need to apply to bend it.
Right, so this is where 65 comes from, etc.
It's the amount of force I need to bend it, and we'll
not
say
know
bend
that.
it over 2 fixed points.
Yeah.
So that's how I explain it to people. Now I could be absolutely wrong. It could be total bollocks, but that's how I explain it. So it twigs in people's mind. In that,
It is a good way to describe
it takes me 65 grams of force. I have to put 65 grams of pressure on this finger to bend this blade. Now I get one of me rock hard blue bastards, and I put the same amount of pressure. It doesn't move, so I need more force. So that's a higher number because it needs more force to bend it.
Interesting. I never sort of put that together. So
It's like a little school class, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? I think. Would you say this is a reasonable assessment? Just get rid of your standard, straight geometer. Get rid of them. Just get triples and look at your triples as soft, medium, and hard. Because these kind of sound like a less of a product.
I'd love to do that, right? But this is the real world. I've got a job on press. It's 6 colours wet on wet. The 4th colour is ripping off. So It's ripping off because the blade's too hard. I've got a green composite in. So I'll put a red composite in, so I'll go softer. So it's gone from medium to soft. And now it spreads out. So I want something in the middle of those two. So that's where I pull out my 75 green. It's not as hard as the 75 composite, and it's not as soft as the 65 composite. It's in the middle.
Right. So what, in essence, what you could really treat them as is extra soft, extra
soft and a half,
medium, whatever. Yeah.
If you call the composites a halfway point between the two. So I started off, and it was always soft, medium, hard. So it's dead simple. We didn't even know the numbers. They didn't even exist when I were a lad.
Sure.
And so now I've got this soft. My reds are soft. Now I've got this red and white. What is that? Is that a medium? No, green's still medium. So I've got one in between soft and medium. So it's a soft and a half. Yeah. So, and I've got my medium, which is green, and my green, white, green one is harder than my green. Yeah. Okay, so that's a medium and a half. But to make it dead simple, we'd sort of just stick to the 3 and they'll all be composites. Because they give you more detail.
With less pressure. Which is better for your machines. So technically.
Why does Tony dislike the double squeegee so much? Bit of a bugger to clean, though. So I dislike the double squeegee because if we go back to the original double squeegee, not the one that we happen to get a live exclusive on from Itmar. Just happened to bump into the guy that invented. Yeah, that one's all right because what happens with that one is there's holes above the first blade.
Yeah.
So therefore, the ink
like
passes.
Vents.
Yeah, so the ink passes over those and is ready to be printed again by the second blade.
Yeah.
So my issue with the original double blade, the one that I think an old guy from America invented, is that if there's anything left in the mesh to be printed by the second blade,
then
I'm
that's
doing
a problem.
Something wrong.
Yeah.
Why aren't I clearing it on the first stroke? I'm going fast, so it'll allow me to go faster. Well, you're printing wrong then. Slow the fucker down. Print properly. Stop trying to cheat with 2 fast strokes. And it comes from like a manual flood, print.
Yeah.
If that first blade in the double squeegee is doing its job, there is no ink left for the second blade to transfer through the mesh. It's only because we set the parameters so that the first blade doesn't do its job properly, so that the second blade then finishes off what the first blade should have had.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why I dislike it so much. And I think he knows that.
That makes sense. Well, we'll tag him and tell him.
She, Auntie Moira.
Tomorrow. All right, okay. I liked that vent. So when I saw that vent, so you always get like a build up of ink and it works its way up. You squeeze, you done it. I'd love to have like a row of vents, so that it instead of it like working its way up, it just like comes out. And again, it probably get even more messy. On an auto, I think that's really great. On a manual, probably just cause you more problems. And not
if
really
you don't have a second blade to clear it and sit in the mesh, then wouldn't it? And you'd get. We got it yesterday. We got duck's feet, as I call them.
Duck's feet.
Duck's feet are the trails that are left behind off the front edge of the squeegee. You must have seen duck's feet.
Yeah, I think I know.
When you pull the blade and you get those, they look like duck's feet walking across your ink, with transparent inks, or seagull's feet. Now that Stephen's made an appearance,
getting gobby then. One who was like,
you were getting gobby, yeah, because stop talking about ducks when you've got seagulls here.
What would be a preferred durometer for the underbase and the top colour?
So underbase would be
Soft
65, 90,
and hard.
65. So the softer version of the triple, or the top colours.
Yeah.
Because that's going to give me my power and brightness. So my top colours, I need to control the amount of ink going down. So I'd go for the 65, 90, 65. But I would also go progressive. So straight after the flash, when it's dry, we're going to go a hard blade. And by the time we've finished for the last colour is going to be softer. And it's going to be a more angle. So, as I say, just like in life, we start off hard and finish soft.
Yeah, because that last colour
is it in house?
It's probably start on window. That last colour's not going to interfere with anything. There's nothing.
No. But we've got to protect the colours that went before it, so we use progressively softer blades and progressively bigger angles and progressively less pressure. Yeah. I give any more secrets away, I'll have no bleeding work left this year.
I'm going to say. Right. Have we finished our email? I really love that email. Thank you. Cheered me right. I did that.
Yeah. Made my day that as well.
Proper creased. Right. So we've done an hour. And what you like? Because I know you've got to run off to work. Are you right?
Yeah, I've got to run off to work. Well, we've got maybe 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Sorry, it's a little bit short and sweet, but
we've had loads of technical shit. Keep Maxie happy, won't it?
Yeah.
Some technical shit. I'll be cancelling my trip now. Don't need me now.
When is
listen
that?
to the podcast.
Is that like towards the end of the year?
October, yeah.
Oh, not bad. At least whilst it's freezing here, it'll be a little bit warmer over here for you.
It will be, yeah. And another one. I've got another inquiry in that area as well in Israel.
Have you? Interesting. They're not going to be small, flipping sweet-sized shops. They're going to be the opposite.
Shops. Yeah, they're going to be big shops. Yeah.
I'm gonna go when I eventually get finished with everything I've got to do. I'm gonna go downstairs. I'm gonna measure my floor space exactly. I'm gonna plan it, and then I'm gonna show it on next episode.
Okay.
I'm gonna show you how tight
where
it's
are we
gonna
on
be.
the auto journey? Because we're all with you on this auto journey. Where are we?
Well, the one I originally wanted isn't available anymore. So I'm just looking again now. I got in touch and found out exactly what's happening, and it's not available. Listener, he listens to the show actually. Very complimentary. Yeah, he still listens as well. I need to send him some stickers and stuff. Actually, that reminds me, I'm going to message him. If anybody wants some stickers or anything, just let me know, by the way. Just message me and I'll send you some. So there's a couple kicking about, I don't want to name the shops that are selling them, but there's only really a couple that are selling a couple of autos. A little bit overpriced, to be honest.
Yeah.
You remember that one that you said about 8K worth of press that's actually selling for about VAT plus 10 plus VAT plus installation?
Yeah, you got to be careful.
I don't really want to pay for.
The thing is, they hold their value because they still earn money. You know, all right, one might be harder to use than the other. An old one might be harder for you to get to grips with than a newer one. But at the end of the day, it's still chucking out pound coins every 3.5 seconds.
Well, here's an interesting angle. which I've never heard before. My mate, I won't name him just in case I don't want to. Anyway, one of my mates from Australia. It's not the one you're thinking. There's a couple. He's just got an auto, but he's just got a cheap Chinese auto. And this is his own words. I just got a cheap Chinese auto to learn on, and he's paid a few grand for it. Not tens, not 20, not 50, a few grand, single digits. I don't know exactly how much, but a few grand for this Chinese cheap auto. And he says, best decision he's ever made. He's still got his manual, obviously, but he's got this churning out bread and butter jobs, and the mistakes that he's making, etc., he's learning on this cheap press, and then he intends on buying a proper press in the near future. But this is just getting him by. And I thought, yeah, not a terrible idea. I don't want to go buy a cheaply built Chinese job, but do I really need to go full hog, all singing rock, all singing MHM, etc., or could I get something a little bit?
Well, this
just
is
to
this
get
is
me
what
by
I
for a bit.
was talking to you about. I'm fucking spoiled. I want the best toys. I don't want an old used second-hand chopper. I want a Grifter XL that's brand new out of Alfred's. Don't want one that you've bought off Facebook Marketplace.
No, well, this is it, isn't it?
So that's my issue, which is I've had to sit down. You've made me sit down and sort of question. Yeah, of course it's got to be a new machine. It's got to be a good new machine. And you've got to be the highest point of your budget that you can actually allow for. Otherwise, you're just buying. It's the banger mentality. Have you heard of the banger mentality? So
yeah.
I had an uncle, and he would never buy a new car, ever. But every year he would buy a banger.
Right.
Every year he'd pay about 600 quid for a banger. And he only wanted to get a year out of it. And when I said to him, you're only going to get a year out of that, he said, yeah, all I've got to do is get it through its MOT. It's cost me 40 quid to get it through its MOT. It stands me in at 640 quid for a year. What's your car payments? 300 quid a month. There you go then. Who's winning? I'm like, yeah, but I'm driving around in a nice car. He's like, yeah, but I've got shitloads of money. Yeah. I'm not sure who's right here. But the only thing I will say, he could fix any banger.
Yeah,
so if you buy a cheap Chinese machine, are you mechanically minded enough to fix it? Because you can't go to China if it breaks. They won't pick up the phone. So you'll have to have enough nous about you to be able to fix electronics and fix pneumatics and fix mechanical parts and weld bits together.
Yeah, that I won't go down the Chinese route or getting some £5,000 press or anything like that, but maybe an older M&R, something like that. But then I don't know. I'll tell you what my ideal.
I think I'd rather go for the new Chinese than an old M&R.
Would you honestly?
Well,
and that's down to
it's not going to be pneumatic heads. Chances are it's going to be electric driven. It might last you a year, but yeah, like you say, you'll cut your teeth on it.
I'll have to have a look. I mean, I'll tell you what I want. What I really want. I really want. What I really want is either an MHM X Type, 6 colour 8 palette.
Yeah.
Or a Rock U 6 colour 8 palette, 1 flash. And the reason for them.
There are 7, 8, aren't there?
Have a the Rock?
With the Rock U, you can get one where it's only got one open space. Yeah, you can get one so it's only one open space, because you've got to think you'll never have loads of people with you. It's always you. So the smaller ones with a smaller footprint, you just have one open space where you load, it goes round and you take off.
Yeah, and there's another actually. What's the M&R version? They've got a new one as well, which is...
It's the DCC global print thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, I forgot what it's called now. No, there was another one. Something electric. Because I specifically say I want electric. Tell you. Was it the... E-Series, Diamondback E-Series. And the main thing is obviously size. I've got 3.4 meter to play with at best, and so I'm maxing it out. You know, it's as small as a press as it can be. It needs to be single phase.
I think most are now.
And that's it, I think, really. And I don't really want pneumatic heads, just taking people's advice. So, you know, not asking for a lot.
No.
And finding one of them.
You know, pneumatic heads
market,
I started on.
You know?
I started learning to print on pneumatic heads, and yeah, they work and they print, but fuck, it's hard work, and you don't want to go back to that. It's like, you know, we used to have fax machines and they worked, but I don't want to go back to them.
No. What's the main issue? Like the pulling, you need a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it's controlling that power. So imagine a bicycle pump, and you can change the air going in and the air coming out.
Yeah.
So in effect, if you get that balance of air going in and air coming out right, you've got a constant speed.
Yeah.
That's great if the force of resistance, the ink on the screen and the squeegee, is constant. But at the beginning of the print, it needs a little bit more pressure, and at the end of the print, once it's got some inertia, it doesn't need as much. This is where the servo drive can be intelligent and measure the voltage resistance and change the power input. So in other words, try harder when it comes up against resistance and back off a little bit when it doesn't meet as much resistance. So we've got full controllability. When we've just got a pure, and that's like a digital thing, when we've got a pure analog of air going in at this side at 8 bar, coming out at this side at 6 bar, therefore I've got a 2 bar pressure, obviously.
Yeah.
But if I come across some resistance in the middle of the print where I've got an open area of mesh, where I just need that little bit more, there's a chance of the squeegee stopping. So you'll open up the pressure, which will actually be too fast for your open bits and not fast, too fast for your closed bits of mesh and not fast enough for your open bits of mesh.
All right.
Can we make it work? Yeah. Absolutely. You know, and there's millions of prints being done like that. It's just that if I had the choice, I wouldn't go back to windy up windows. I want automatic windows on my car.
Well, there's a windy up window press available right now. I could get on phone and I would negotiate a price, and I could buy it. But I'm holding out. I'm fighting the urge of doing that. To be honest, I'm fighting it because part of me, after last week, and you know, after trying to keep up with work, I'm fighting the urge of not just going and getting that press because I know it'll be damn sight faster than what I'm doing now. But also, I know that advice, it makes total sense, and can I just hold on that a little bit longer until the right press comes up?
That would be my advice. That would be my advice. But, you know, you've got to think about money. You've got to think about customers. You've got to think about you're not getting any younger.
Thanks. No, I'm not getting anywhere fast here. It's, well, like I say, I wanted to do it this year. So it's a case of be patient a little bit longer. I could go get that windy up window press. You know, I could email him today and I'm sure he could. I'm sure he would move on price a little bit because he's trying to rip me off. But if not, maybe better to wait. I've got, you know, like I say, there's a few months left at the year, so I'll just keep looking for right press for now, unless I get really desperate.
Right. I think with that, we'll wrap it up with that, Danielle. I'm going to have to go to work, have some breakfast.
Yeah, me too.
You got shitloads to do?
Yeah, I've got bloody backs of these to print. And I've got to drop them off tonight. So I can't even
go get printed. I don't know what time it is. We're only 7:30 a.m. here, so I presume you're about 2:30 afternoon or something.
2:30, so it's not too bad. I've got a couple hours to get them finished, so should be all right.
Well, next week I'm an hour closer to you. It's only an hour different next week. An hour different to what this is. Still 6 hours instead of 7.
It's been a bit of a tight, squashed episode, this one, so hopefully next week can be a little bit better quality entertainment.
Celebratory 1 year one.
God, it was a miserable celebration, wasn't it? Fuck. Can we just
It
pretend
wasn't
it's
it?
not, and we'll do it next week?
We've got to wait until this 52nd episode, really, haven't we?
Well,
It's been a
technically,
calendar
that would
year
be...
because we've missed a few bits. So 52. Might get the 52nd episode when I'm near Florida. I don't know.
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll do that. We'll call that
Great big lad.
celebration.
So all that's left to say now is thank you very much for listening, putting up with us. We've had a good hour or so, an hour and 10 at least. An hour and 10, so it's not too bad. By the time we cut all swearing out, that'll be about 6 minutes.
There we go.
So, thank you very much for listening. As always, send any questions, funny emails to Danny. Don't send them to me. I ain't got patience for that sort of shit. No, get in touch with us any way you can. Like, subscribe. We love the feedback. We really do. It means that it's not just me and Danny sat 4,500 miles away from each other talking shit. At least there's somebody else involved in it. And if you're listening to our shit, let us know. Drop us a wave, little thumbs up, anything. We just need that dopamine hit to know that we're liked. We ain't got a good friend circle. So just like or subscribe. I think that we're begging enough, don't you? Let us know if you want a Chippy Tea enamel pin, and we'll sort you something out.
I don't know how to post them. I'm going to have to get some little matchboxes personalised, and then I'll slide it in, send it with a really tiny address.
Wrap it in a shirt. Pin it to a shirt and post that out.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So some Chippy Tea shirts.
Oh, I've got something new. Hang on. So basically, you fold your T-shirt. So you know a lot of us polybag and clear polybags. Got a new paper version, and it is perfectly once folded with your T-shirt inside. Perfectly Royal Mail large letter. So you know if you use like a mailing bag, quite often if you take it to the post office and you happen to get the wrong person who's a bit of a mad ass, and she puts it through that little slot, and she goes, "Oh no, it's squashing this one, isn't it? It's not. It don't fit. You have to pay 50 quid for a small parcel now." It solves that problem.
Oh, good.
So
good
that's
for
cool,
one-offs,
isn't it?
Yeah, I like that for one-offs.
Well, no. Well, the idea is if somebody orders 100 T-shirts,
you'll have to show us one all. You'll have to post a picture of one all folded up.
Well, all I'm thinking is if I do some Chippy Tea T-shirts with a pin badge on, I can send them for Royal Mail large letters.
There you go.
Got
problem solved.
Always thinking of you lot. That's me, all over that.
Awesome. Right, so all that remains to say now. All that remains to say now is it's goodbye from me, Tony P, and
oh God, yeah, Daddy, I'm off. See me.
I'll see you. See you later.
See me.
Friday night, I'm within me rights. I want a Chippy